Going live, going live, and this hangout is on the air live. So anybody else can see us too. Um, Welcome to this week's edition of Youth Ministry Conversations or Youth Leading Conversations or whatever we've named it at this point. And this week we're talking about hacks and tips and tricks and just everything that we've learned over the years that can help everybody out. So first of all, we're going to introduce everybody or let them introduce themselves. And then we'll dive in, and we'll probably start with just Sunday night youth, just some things that you've learned. So first of all, my order on my screen shows Chad on the far left. So Chad, I'll just introduce yourself and kind of tell us where you're from and what you do.
Well, hey everyone, I'm Chad McElvin. Oh, thank you very much, thank you. And I am at Cedar Bayou Grace United Methodist Church in Baytown, Texas, and yeah, I'm the youth minister here and been doing youth for about for 9 years, so it's been good.
Awesome. And then next to Chad is Eddie.
Yeah, hi, my name's Eddie Irwin. I'm the Director of Youth and Young Adults for the Texas Annual Conference, and started that in July and was in the local church at Lakewood for almost 11 years before that. So.
All right, and then I don't have your name, I just have FUMC QTX, so I don't think we've introduced ourselves.
I am Taylor Ory. I'm from First Methodist in Quitman, and been here about 2 years, been doing youth in all about 6 years. So.
Awesome. And then next to Taylor, Ruth Ann.
Oh, okay. I'm Ruth Ann Person. I'm at First Methodist Conroe, and I've been here for going on my 4th year.
Awesome. My name is Russell Martin. I'm the youth director at Williams Memorial in Texarkana, Texas, way up in the top corner. And I've been here for about 10 years, been doing youth for the last 4. So, so today we're talking about just tips and tricks and things that you've learned. So, and we can kind of jump in with anybody. But what are some of the things on Sunday nights? Kind of tell us maybe a little bit just about how your big group. So either your Wednesday or your Sunday. What kind of your big meeting that you can consider your big meeting time? What does that look like? And anybody can kind of jump in and kind of tell us that. Or I can pick somebody. You've got to come back every time, Chad. You're a sound effects guy. You're good.
Yay.
So, Chad, since you did that, what does your main night look like?
Oh, for me? Yeah, it's Sunday night, and it's 5 to 7 o'clock, so for 2 hours. We've just recently really started incorporating the use of small groups, and so just having a time where students can we divide them up. We have high school guys, high school girls, junior high guys, junior high girls, and so we get them into their groups. Each group has 2 adult leaders, and they just have time where they just get to know each other, talk about what's been going on in their lives and their week, and then every time it ends with them praying for each other, finding something they have to pray for each other about. And that's about 20 to 30 minutes of the time. And we just have other time of just fellowship and games and just building community and just hanging out. So.
Okay, Taylor, what does y'all's main night look like?
Our big night is Wednesday nights. Very, very similar to Chad. We start off with a meal about 5:15, and usually that goes for about 45 minutes or so. At 5:45, I pull my adult leaders and volunteers and the kids that are going to be doing youth worship, and we go into a meeting and just kind of pray over the night, go over whatever we're going to be covering, that sort of thing. At 6 o'clock, we break up into small groups, similar to Chad. The only thing we do differently is we have mid-high, which is 9th and 10th grade, and we break that up by gender. We just do that because we have a big group of mid-high, and a lot of them are related to the senior high, and I don't know about y'all, but I had a little sister, and I did not want her sitting in the midst of all that. So it kind of breaks that up a little bit better. After that, we during that session of small group, we just kind of have some discussion questions, kind of get them talking about whatever we're going to be going over that week. Right now we're going through Philippians, so something that's related to whatever passage we're going through. come back in, do worship and a message, and then we break back out and go to small groups. And we do Christ Candle, which is highs, lows, prayer requests, and similar to what Chad was saying, just have a time for them to pray for one another. So.
And Ruth Ann, what does y'all's main time look like?
I'd probably say our main night is Wednesday nights. We do meet on Sundays too, but on both nights we share a meal first, and on Wednesdays is more of our Bible study time. So we use that to go through our lesson and and any discussion. Right now, our junior high youth is not as large as our high school youth, so for right now we're just combining them all together. Hopefully that'll grow after the football season's over with. But for us, it's just more discussion. Unfortunately, I don't have anyone that we don't have an opportunity to do worship, so I'm still searching for that. But one cool thing that we do is we hand out, little slips of paper, colored paper to all the kids, and they write their name on it, and then afterwards they put all their names, their slip of paper into a pot, and then we go back around and everybody draws another name. So that's the person that they pray for until the next week. And the kids really enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Eddie, I know you're kind of a different role right now, but as you go on, what did y'all do whenever you were doing youth stuff? What did your night look like?
Yeah, so Wednesday nights we gathered for a time of kind of hanging out and getting together, and then we had a time of worship, and then split up into small groups based on most of their grade levels. And then Sunday nights were fellowship-based and usually kept the 6th graders apart, and then the junior high, 7th and 8th graders were together, and then the senior high were typically together. So the fellowship activities could be mission-based, they could be just crazy games, or even kind of an old, what I always called UMYF, some sort of activity, and then a lesson wrapped around that activity. So.
Awesome. We kind of do the same thing that you are talking about with food. Is actually we have homework and hang out right after church, or right after school, and so some of the kids get here before school is out. I'm not sure how they do that, but it's like time for school to get out, and they're walking in the door. And then we do meal and worship, and we have small groups. And I have student and youth-led small groups, so we're student and adult-led small groups. And then they dismiss from there because we found it was hard, and this may be something y'all find. It was hard to, my 6th grade boys would get done like in 5 minutes, and my senior high girls would be talking forever. And so it was hard to kind of gather back together. So and I let them, they close in their small groups, and then we kind of come back to the gym. They're playing some games. We kind of hang out, and at 7:15 we'll do wrap up MYF benediction and be done. So, so out of this, first of all, I want to help Ruth Ann out a little bit. Okay. What are some ways, and some of y'all can chime in on this, what are some ways that you can do worship if you don't have a band, or you don't have somebody who does that?
I know I have done this before, especially at my last church I was with. We did do, we sang to videos off of YouTube, or I would just make my own and just add the lyrics to it. It took some getting used to, because it's just kind of odd. Just something about live music is just completely different than if you listen to a recording of David Crowder or Chris Tomlin or something. But I think after a while they started kind of getting into it and just realizing they're just focusing on the words and everything. When I try to do it at this church I'm at now, they pretty much weren't buying it, and they weren't getting too into it. And I noticed there was a drastic difference when we tried it with live music. So I don't know. It is something worth trying, but it's just something you have to kind of prep the students to know about it, and just I don't know, just keep it going and just experiment with it.
Yeah, we've tried doing that on Sunday mornings, like right before Sunday school, and it's kind of, to hear all the moans and groans from the kids. They're like, really? You're going to make us sing? So maybe it's just something I just need to keep, pushing.
And my question too is it them singing, or would it matter if it was somebody up there with a guitar? Would that make a difference if they were wanting to sing or not?
Sometimes that does make a difference, because I've had, interns that have had a guitar, and I've had some, some actual students. One was a friend of someone, but she led worship at another church, and so when she was visiting us, she would bring her guitar and would lead. And that was, they were okay with that. So it's just finding somebody to help me to do that. And unfortunately, our praise band practices, their rehearsal is on Wednesday nights, so that makes it difficult to drag them away from rehearsal.
Taylor, how did y'all build your praise band, and what did y'all do? Have you been there since it began, or what did y'all do when y'all started? Taylor, do you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it.
That's okay. Sorry. What did y'all, when you built it, how did y'all go, and what would be some tips or you would have for worshiping if you don't have a praise band yet?
We were really fortunate here that when I got here, we had a student who'd been leading for a couple years, and he kind of had his stuff together. And when he graduated, we have another girl who is pursuing a career as a worship leader. So what we did with her is we kind of got her started. We gave her a couple opportunities to get her more comfortable instead of just kind of throwing her to the wolves on Wednesday nights. Let her lead Sunday school. But she kind of had a lot of experience already. So it really wasn't that big a deal here. The last church I was at, that was actually my job, was starting the praise band. And what we did really was just see who all would be interested, see who all would want to participate in the service, and then start looking at ways, who does anybody have a friend that plays guitar? Does anybody have a friend that does this? But it takes a lot of time, a lot of prayer, and a lot of effort. I don't really have any, this is what we did and it worked really well.
I know that there are some resources. The old one was Spin. Back in the day, Spin was out Student Praise Interactive Network, and there's several of them now that will. Praise Church actually has this. It'll provide a background track and a full track and a guitar parts and stuff that you can. If you have somebody who sings, they can be singing to the track. If you have someone who sings and plays guitar, they can play to that track, and so you have the full band. I actually have an app that I downloaded and use, and it's worship band in a hand. And so not all the songs are on there, but there are enough. And so it provides, it's all on the iPad, and so you choose, hey, we're doing Lord I Lift Your Name on High, or whatever, and you can go, hey, we have drums and we have bass, but we don't have this, or we have, usually drums I want to run on this because of the click and stuff, but we don't have any keyboards, and so we can add that, and so they can practice to that. You can send it with them, they can practice with it, or you can, and then they can, when you're leading, you can have whatever parts of the band that you don't have that you can add in. So Worship Band in a Hand is the name of that deal. And you just buy each song. It gives you a couple free songs, and you buy the songs as you want to add them. So it might not be a permanent solution, but it would be one, too, if you had someone who is apprehensive about leading and needed some background stuff, you could send it with them or say, here, log into this, and they could practice with it, and they could come up and go, hey, I can play piano. Some of the other places provide sheet music. So if you have someone who can't read chords, the sheet music is still there. So finding any way to encourage one person to make it easy enough for them to do is helpful. So, Eddie?
Another place you might look would be a music school, or especially somebody that's teaching guitar. That they may not be a believer, but there's a lot of the Christian music uses similar chords, and so it doesn't take a whole lot for somebody at least to play the guitar and have that live music like you were talking about, and it may help them further their musical learnings as well. That either help pay for more lessons or provide that opportunity to play up on stage. And those sort of pieces. So another thing that we found worked well was what we called gang vocals. It was in essence a small choir, but they weren't parted out singing different parts, but just singing as a group together gives people confidence up there on stage. And so you may not have one person leading, but a handful may be comfortable there leading up on stage.
Awesome. All right, so that's kind of worship stuff, and Ruthie, I hope that helps out.
Yeah, the great ideas. Thank you.
The other thing I saw that everybody mentioned was meals. Everybody, or most people mentioned meals, and that's something I've seen on the TXC UMC Facebook page, and I've seen on a couple other things. Is other than pizza and hot dogs, what are some of the meal ideas, your best meal ideas, and easiest ones to do that we can share with others so that they have a list? I've composed a couple of lists over time. Of some things, but what are some of the meals that you can do that are easy to do that you can provide? And anybody can start.
One that we like to do around Halloween is mummy dogs, and it's real simple. You just take crescent rolls, wrap them around a hot dog, and bake it to the same, same instructions as the crescent roll, and you get, kind of a pig in a blanket. That's real easy for us and really doesn't take that much time or effort.
Awesome.
That's a good one.
What else? What are some of the meals that are quick and easy to do that we can use?
We've done breakfast, for dinner, and the kids seem to really enjoy that. And this past week, we have a Hispanic ministry that sells tamales for their fundraisers for scholarships, and they needed the space in our freezer, so I had to clean out our freezer downstairs in our kitchen. So it was kind of a smorgasbord, but the kids ended up loving it. We had taquitos and the French toast sticks that were left over from a lock-in. So the kids were so excited. It worked out really well. You never know.
I know there's been a time where I usually always try to find other people in our church, but if it ever was left up to me to provide for dinner, it would either be like, either buying something, either pizza or something. But there have been times where I have went out and just like we had breakfast, but we just had a whole bunch of options of cereal, and just cereal and milk, and it's actually pretty cheap for providing for all the students. And some of them, some of the students were quick to complain that they're like, oh, we can't just have cereal. Oh, come on, as they go up for their third bowl, and they're just complaining the entire time that they can't have cereal, and that's not a meal, and they go back for their fourth bowl, and then it's just like, well, I think it's good enough, so yeah.
We did that with cereal, and we had them each bring a box or 2 boxes of cereal, and then you eat about a third of them, if that much. And so we set some, and so they donated some to our food pantry because we needed cereal at the time. So we had cereal night, and then it was a way to kind of do missions and a meal at the same time. So, Eddie, you've been doing this for a long time. What are the best meals you've come across?
Yeah, some of our favorites were English muffin pizzas. Just getting English muffins, splitting them in half, putting tomato sauce on them, and pepperoni or cheese. Just kind of quick and simple. Kind of along the lines of the tamales, taquitos. Where you just bought them frozen and stuck them in the oven. Were real quick. Barbecue baked potatoes always were. Certainly the potato parts were pretty simple and easy. And then we did on certain nights, depending on our health too, we had griddles that we would take to mission camps for us, and so we would do grilled cheese sandwiches real quick, or even quesadillas on the fly. And that way, students had kind of hot and prepared in front of them there, and it gave us an opportunity to talk with them as we were cooking their grilled cheese or whatever they wanted on them. So
cool. And Adrienne is listening to us. She never comes and joins us, but she listens to us. So, Adrienne, do you have any meals? If you have any meals or anything, you can type them in the notes. And I don't know if y'all see the group chat on the side, but the group chat, you can have side conversations and talk about people in there, and but also make other suggestions. Any other meals anybody has? I figured we just. All right, cool.
I have a question. So it seems like a lot of those suggestions they sound good, but I was just wondering, is it even possible to have good, healthy options for meals? It seems like when it comes to quantity, you just kind of put that in the back burner and you just make whatever feeds everybody and whatever everyone likes. But I've been trying to think, what is probably the best way to provide a healthy option for the students?
And I turn the question over to everybody else.
salad for us is really not that expensive. I mean, it's not cheap, but you can get a large quantity of salad fairly cheap, and it really doesn't take much to make salad something special. I mean, you can chop up tomatoes, get a little bit of shredded cheese or dressings, and you can kind of make what you want with salad. That's what we do. But I mean, as far as like getting fruit can get real expensive real quick. So
I've kind of learned that I'm more like a grandmother who feeds the grandkids and then sends them home because they count on me to have food here, especially fun cereal or Pop-Tarts. They love having Pop-Tarts in the pantry. So food that their parents, won't buy them at home, they know that they can get it here. So, that might be bad. But, sometimes I've tried doing special foods and they just, they would rather have the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So. We had a mom one time who it was baked chicken and macaroni and cheese and homemade rolls and green beans, and it was an alternative to pizza and stuff like that. I'm not going to say it was any healthier because it was awesome, and so that's kind of the deal too. Is you can go to a more homemade meal type thing, but you do mashed potatoes and chicken or even steak or anything like that, and if you have the ability to do that. I don't know if you'll see, but Adrian said that. They have spaghetti, lasagna, pizza, baked potatoes, barbecue sandwich, taco bar, and usually have a salad as an option, but our mom who organized it is kind of a health nut. And that's the thing I found for me. I have my biggest thing for meals is I have a mom who organizes either doing the meals or finding people to do the meals. And so that has been a tremendous thing. When we had a parent meeting and I said, the thing that I hate the most is having to cook and work and prepare a meal while kids are coming in, and then I'm doing lesson stuff and do that, and then we're done clean up and all that. And so they said that was she was like, hey, I can organize meals, and so that for me has been a godsend as far as freeing up my time. And two, if I'm doing the meal, it's pizza or it's sandwiches. Now, Chad, we have a Super One here. I don't know what as far as your local grocery store, but they'll do sandwiches on the Hawaiian bread and meat and bread and cheese and that like that. And so that is a non-fried, it's not as it's not like pizza or something like that. So sandwiches are always a one that we will do that is a little healthier.
The Hawaiian bread sandwiches, they love those. You can just buy regular sandwich meat from the deli and cut orders, and then they can pick and choose what meats they love.
Parents who are volunteers who either you don't want interacting with the students or directly a lot of interaction with the students, or they don't want to interact with the students a whole lot. It gives them the opportunity to be a part of the student ministries in a new and fresh idea as well. So it's certainly good to recruit people that have a passion for that. Sometimes you do get those that, like Adrian was talking about, a little more healthy conscious, which for us was the kind of the bigger struggle on the healthy end, is that we had either students who were gluten intolerant or had different allergies, and so trying to find stuff that allowed them to be a part of the group and not, oh, well, Johnny, your special bread is over here to the side, so why don't you step out of line and you can't be a part of the group. So trying to find menu items that would work for the large majority of our group and make everybody feel inclusive around a meal rather than separating folks out.
Yeah. And a great place to get ideas is when you go to Army or you go to Big House or Summit or stuff. I mean, the people who do kitchens for that's what they do is feed bulk groups. All right. Food's great. I want to jump to something else that we all talked about. It was kind of good because it's kind of all the things that we did. Somebody mentioned lock-ins. We probably will not get to that because those are evil. But games. One of the things that I've found is I'm a worship leader. That's the thing I do. And so I was like, games, do we need games and stuff? And I found that there is a lot of value, and I've always known this, but kind of confirmed the value in games and what they do. Because for me, I will have youth who are we're playing scatterball or something like that, and they're the last 2 or 3 on a team, and they're working together, and they never would have worked together. Like, you never would have thought that they would be on a team. So building and stuff like that. So what are some of your favorite, and this can be group games or whatever, but what are ways, let's start with that, group games. What are ways that if you have a group of 10 to 30 and you are, they don't necessarily have to have a point, but what are some of the games that your students enjoy playing? And you have to explain them too, not just say volleyball.
Now, I know for us, a big favorite is always is Nuke 'Em, and it involves a volleyball net. And pretty much the gist is you have two teams on either side of the net. You throw the ball and you can catch it, so it's not like volleyball where you have to hit it and everything. But you throw the ball over the net. If it hits the ground on the other side's team, whoever's closest to the ball is eliminated. So think of it like the volleyball is like a bomb, and whoever's closest to it gets blown up, and so they get eliminated. So the object of the game is to eliminate one entire team. So they can just play that forever. Sometimes we will set a team, but then we'll change up the teams to where it's, all right, let's have guys versus girls. All right, let's have high school versus junior high. All right, let's have this school versus this school. You can just change it up. We even settle some big debates on like what's better, Chick-fil-A or Whataburger. Go on this side for this one and this side, and we just change it up, and it's just, I don't know, it's just a game that you can just play for a long time, and it's just a lot of fun.
We've done that with if you get out, you actually go to the other side too.
Oh yeah, I call that the Red Rover rule.
Yeah.
So you got a number to their team. And
all right, what else? What other games do y'all play?
Have you ever heard of Protect the President?
Heard of, but I don't remember how to play. But
yeah, I mean, it's one of those kind of like you were talking about. You get some kind of odd team building stuff going. Real simple. You have like a soft, like not a softball, but a softer ball, like a four-square ball. Don't use a basketball. Well, you could.
Bowling ball. Yeah.
Yeah, bowling ball might not work out. So you may get some parent calls.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just have them all stand in a circle, and you have like you can either do it with 2 or 3 people. Basically, the person you put one person as the president, and you have 2 people or 1 person that is defending them, and you have everybody else is in the circle trying to lob and hit them, and the person or the 2 people in front, however you arrange it, are trying to block it. And as soon as the president gets hit, you know, the game's over, and you just rotate through. Whoever hits it becomes the new Secret Service, and whoever was the Secret Service rotates to the president. But you'll get, you know, you can get that one really awkward junior high boy that turns into like a true Secret Service man defending, you know, just this random person. You can get some pretty cool stuff out of it, I think.
Ruth Ann, do y'all have games y'all?
You know, I try to introduce new games, and they only want to play dodgeball, so it kind of makes me crazy, but that's what they want to do. Just recently we had, I guess it was in the month of August, we had life-size games as our thing for our Sunday night fellowship. So we have a life-size game of Bananagrams, which I had never heard of, and the kids loved it. So instead of having little bitty tiles like you have for Scrabble, we actually have 12-inch tiles, and we played it in the gym. And so that was a lot of fun. And we also made a life-size, you know, one of the larger Jenga sets. So they enjoyed doing that too. But they like to play Nuke 'Em.
How did you make your life-size Bananagram? Like, what did you use for your tiles?
We used a thin board, kind of like paneling.
Okay.
I don't know exactly the name of it. You know, at first I thought we could use old like floor tiles, but when I found out how heavy those were, it was incredible. So we went to the wood, and it's really inexpensive, you know, per se. And so I had one of our adults was able to cut it for us. Well, actually, Home Depot cut them in long you know, they cut like in 12-inch strips, and then one of our adults was able to cut them into the 12-inch squares. So we had to paint them. We paint, you know, and you can go online to find the game, and it'll tell you how many A's you need, and you know, you need 11 E's and things like that. So it took us about 4 or 5 hours to get all that painted, but it was worth it. And we've got them in a little tub that we bought from Lowe's that has wheels on it that we can carry it around. So that'll be something that we can take with us to UM Army or Big House. But they had a great time.
Cool. All right, Eddie.
Yeah, there's a few that are always standbys. One of my kind of less active games that doesn't require a whole lot of physical activity is Vegetable Off right now. You pull up two students and say, on your mark, get set, broccoli, and they have to do their best impersonation of a broccoli based on and then you get the audience to participate by voting based on speed and accuracy of the vegetable and creativity. And so when you throw out, some like Brussels sprouts, they don't know what to do, or you have some like corn that could either be an ear of corn, a kernel of corn, or even a stalk of corn still on it. So that's one. One that a lot of ours still had. We didn't play a whole lot, but and it's kind of becoming dated now too, was Quidditch from Harry Potter. Give them, we had a stack pile of brooms and mops from UM Army and other work camps that were sitting up in the attic, and so we got those out and had flag football flags that we used, and kids loved being the snitch that ran around just all around the space we were playing in and tried to escape. And you had everybody was moving because you had the other characters and quaffles and beaters and whatever else Harry Potter things that are going on there. I apologize to the huge Harry Potter fans that I'm offending right now by not getting all that terminology right. But they had, because everybody was moving and different things were going on, it kept everybody entertained pretty good. So
that's awesome. One of the things we love playing is Scatterball, which is dodgeball, but with there's really no teams. And so have you all played that? Get out, you throw the ball. There's no teams, so everybody's running around. You throw the ball, get somebody out. If you're out, you sit down. If the ball comes to you, because it's rolling around, you can pick it up and throw it at somebody else. And if you hit them and they're out, you're back in. And then when you get down to about 3 or 4 people left, you call all in and everybody gets back in. And so it's an ongoing, never-ending, no-team version of dodgeball. Sometimes we'll throw 2 balls in there and do it that way. And the other thing we did with dodgeball is we played, and let's combine Eddie's and Ruth Ann's with dodgeball, and we played Golden Snitch dodgeball. Nice. And so basically, there was one person on each team and there was one gold dodgeball, and if they could hit the basketball goal of the other end, actually go in the goal, then the game was over. And so you were trying to decide: are you trying to hit the ball when it goes over? Are you trying to hit that person and get them out? Or what are you trying to do, working with that deal. So that was kind of interesting. We tried that a couple times. It worked okay, but also just playing hurling dodgeballs at each other is always a good way to do it. So, and bye to Taylor, and thanks for joining us. And James is listening in, I see. All right, we got a little bit of time. Let's go to office hacks and tips and tricks. What are things that you have found, either apps that you use or ways that you try to get things done better around the office? And what are a few of those things?
Yeah, for us, one of the biggest changes we did was put a mailbox. Just went to the local hardware store and got a mailbox that we could hang on the drywall outside our office. And so instead of kids running up and saying, hey, I need to turn this form in, and you're trying to pull the pizza out of the oven and finish prepping your lesson, we just train them on everything gets turned into the mailbox. That way we didn't put it in our back pocket, or they didn't know where to find us at, or if we weren't at the office, they could. It was outside of a locked door that they could drop it off. And so every day all the forms went in there, payments, anything that that folks had to turn in could go right there in the mailbox outside. And that way it eliminated a whole lot of hassle as far as who do we turn this into. Where does it go? When does it do? All that was right there in the mailbox. So.
Cool. Who else has something they've done in their office that's proved to be extremely helpful?
Now here lately, I've been making use of. I have these different little plastic tubs or boxes, and I have them for all sorts of different things. Like I have them for junior high Sunday school, high school Sunday school, junior high, each of the small groups we have. I just have each one different because I started noticing as I kept preparing for each of those things or printing out materials for it, they would just end up in one big pile. So I just have these different tubs and boxes, and so I just give those to whoever the adult leaders are, and so they just know they have that box, and each box has pens and pencils and everything they need. And I feel that's really helped me a lot, just especially keeping a lot of our adult leaders organized too, by just having they have their own box full of stuff. So.
Ruth Ann, I guess the question is kind of turned into how do you stay organized as a youth leader, which is one of those things that we all struggle with and stuff. So what's something you found that helps you stay organized, helps you in the office?
Were you talking to me? Because somebody walked in.
Yes. Go ahead.
You know, I guess I'm kind of old school, so I'm still using our little spiral notebook, you know, where you write, make notes to yourself. I have to say, with everything going on, that I'm probably not as organized as I should be. But I look to you guys because y'all are the ones that are all the tech, you know, guys, and so I'm learning how to do that.
I do. I'm a big fan. I'm trying to get rid of paper. I'm trying to get everything scanned in and done. And so Evernote is probably where I deposit all of my stuff. And one of my favorite things I've found with that is receipts when they come in. I have a shared Evernote folder with our business administrator. And so if I'm going to Six Flags or going to a Rangers game and we stop and get gas, and I take a picture of that in Evernote of that receipt, and it's automatically saved. So if it, within the process, the next 6 hours gets lost somewhere, then she already has it. So when she comes in on Monday, she can pull it up and go, here's your receipt from your stuff. And I can make notes and stuff on that. And the nice thing, too, is it will search. It's the paid version will search pictures and PDFs. And so if I'm looking for a specific receipt, oftentimes I can just type in the amount. And it'll pull up anything that I have that has that amount in it. And so emails, when I sort my email inbox, I try to keep it at 0. And if it's important, then it goes to Evernote and I forward it there. If it's not important, I archive it in Gmail. And so that way I'm kind of staying on top of those things. So that's part of the digital end of that, is taking care of those things. And so Evernote's probably it's on my computer and my phone and my tablet. So so I've asked a lot of questions. What would you like to hear other people's thoughts and questions you've had on, hey, how do you do this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it popped up to you, so you're up.
Oh, me?
Yeah, Chad. What would you need help on, or were you wondering our opinions or thoughts on as far as hacks or helps or tips or tricks?
I guess I'm not much. I know I get the importance of making use of the social media and just either advertising or just putting up just events or pictures or other things. And but I know I personally am just not one who, even once a month, like I just don't get into it too much, and I don't want to get too carried away with it. And but I was just trying to think. I know I've tried to experiment some with Hootsuite before and how it could just go out to all the different things, but sometimes I just never know if it's actually working or not, because it seems like, I don't know, it seems like most of our students are either on Instagram or Snapchat or something, and so I just don't know how to get those plugged in, because those don't work with Hootsuite. So I just have to do those individually, and I don't really want to get a Snapchat, really. So, but it's a very popular thing. Almost all our students have it. So, but yeah, I don't know. It just whatever tips there are for social media or something, I guess.
Ruth Ann, how do y'all use social media in your? And this is a whole other conversation to do, but we can get.
Oh yeah, I guess so. But I was just...
No, it's good, because we can do a little bit here, and then we can do it for future. We can dive in a little bit. Maybe get somebody, Eddie. We can find somebody who can help us and actually do an interview, something like that. So, Ruth Ann, how do y'all use social media within your group and communicating with them?
We do have a Facebook page for our Conroe youth, And so we'll use that. I use that to post events to let people know, because we do have some kids that will come to some of our special events but aren't here on a regular basis. And also, too, it helps probably more for the parents because not all the kids are on Facebook anymore. But the parents will that can see that and know what's going on, and then it gives me an opportunity to post pictures of events that we do, or you know, if we've gone on a mission trip, then I can post pictures from that, and then it helps. You know, then we can share that on our church Facebook page. We just recently got an Instagram for our youth, so I'm still learning about that. And we do, you know, have kids that will post on the Instagram.
That's probably our biggest way of communicating, and probably my favorite is Instagram, because one, I can put on Instagram and it can send to Facebook and to Twitter. And so, Chad, that's a way, something that I've always tried to find is what are the ways I can post it once and it go multiple places. And so Instagram probably for me is that that best way to do that. And I will make just little announcement sheets with Instagram using either Over is an app. This is an app I'm putting up in the deal. Over is I don't think it's .com, just an app for iPhone or maybe for Android. WordSwag and Texturama. What is it? Hold on.
Is that what y'all use to make your little cutesy pictures and stuff? Because, okay, we need to learn how to do that.
Okay.
You and Eddie are great at doing that.
Typorama is one, and it is actually, you choose your picture, or you pick a picture, and we'll just pick, we'll do that picture. So you pick a picture, here's your little tutorial on Typorama real quick. So there's your background. It actually allows you to choose, okay, this is going to be on Facebook or Twitter, so you can actually adjust the cropping for it.
Oh my God.
But if it's Instagram, it's like Instagram, and then we put your text in. Done. And so kind of shows you where to kind of pick your text. And so you double tap and go youth tonight at 5:30. It's not really a whole lot of text, and then you just choose all these little things. This is hard to do backwards. You can choose. It'll change whatever deals. So that's how. Yeah, my debit card purchase. Nice. That'll be on. So you kind of choose whatever your text is to make it look like however you want. And really, it's nice because you keep tapping on that, and it's going to change and give you different options. And there's one, and then you can save it and you can send it to wherever. There's also one called Legend, which is it'll take text and do a little video thing. I put one up yesterday about youth meeting at 5:30, and just kind of animated text. And so that's something else to use. Eddie, how are y'all using? Back to that, Instagram and text messages are my two ways that are best for me to communicate with my students. I like Instagram because I can put it up during the day, and it's their choice if they're on their phone checking it or not. It's not, I don't send text usually between about 8 and 4. It's kind of like my block that I won't send text to students. But Instagram, they may check it, they may not, so I can put something up there at 2 when I'm thinking about it, and they'll check it when they get off school and like it and do stuff like that. So, Eddie, what are some other ways that we're using Instagram or social media?
Yeah, I'm not an Instagram user, but that was certainly the way that we reached most of the folks. Certainly when we had summer hip, cool summer college interns, that they loved posting things on Instagram. And did a whole lot better job of documenting things. It was kind of like in the old days when we had 35mm, and you took hundreds of pictures all week, and then you printed them off, and then they sat in a bucket for decades, and nobody ever did anything with them. And so they're certainly a lot more, better remembering to post Instagram pictures. Facebook we really use to communicate with our adults or the rest of the church as general. and usually got some high schoolers on Twitter. To kind of go back to Chad's comment, I think Snapchat is the devil, so certainly stay away from that. So it's my own personal theology. So yeah.
No, it probably is, but whenever all the parents are just like, oh yeah, they're on Snapchat and all that, I've shared articles about it, and since I'm personally I've never been on it, so I don't know much about it, but I've had a summer intern. He's been on it, and I've been to other conferences where they sit there and say, oh, don't try to fight it, find a way to use it and all this other stuff, and I'm just like, I'm conflicted because I know where it originated, and now it seems like it could be good, but does that still make it? I don't know. And
it was interesting because
I'm never gonna get one. So
Adam McLean was one of the first ones to write one of the articles about that, and it was the thing you should delete now. And I was listening to a podcast, and he was talking about it. He goes, okay, it has changed some. He goes, I still wouldn't have it. He goes, I wouldn't have it myself. But he did say, he goes, it has changed some. That he goes, I wouldn't do it personally, but it has made it to where it is a little more user friendly for stuff. What I would say, if you are going to do it at all, is only use a timeline, because for me, it's anything that can be that everybody sees. I'm not going to send a message to a youth on it or receive a message from youth from it. Some kids follow me, but I don't follow anybody. And I only post to the timeline, so that way it's not a private message. It is just put up for everybody to see, and they can kind of scroll through. So I know of groups who use that, and that's the only way that I've ever seen anybody say use it for a group. The only thing they've said is to do it as a timeline post to your wall or to your timeline or whatever, and definitely not as a personal way of communicating, because one, they're not deleted, because that was the fun thing. They said, yes, we delete them, and then they said, now you can replay them up to 3 times for 99 cents. And I was like, then they're not gone. So help your students understand that if you can replay it, that means they have it, and they should understand that when they go in. And so that's what I try to inform my students of is use it, that's great, but know that all these pictures are somewhere, and with the hacks that have happened, I would venture to say that you could probably, there will be a time in the future where someone will post up all the pictures anybody's ever put on Snapchat. And do you want your picture?
Can't they do like a screenshot too?
Yeah,
of
you
the picture and save it. So.
Yeah. So I mean, if as long as I'll try to help parents and students understand that it's not. It's better the way that it is, that we know that they're saved. I think that eliminates that sense of anonymity, and I can show this picture to you and you'll never see it again. All this is we'll cut all this randomness out. But so we actually have gone like an hour now. We'll probably Eddie divide this into a couple of different sessions. So it'll be like 20 minutes, I think. Nobody wants to sit here and listen to us ramble for an hour, so we'll probably make 2 out of that. As we go forward, one, what is the best way that this can be helpful? And this is kind of like, let me do a wrap-up. Thank you all for joining us for this conversation, and we will get this up online soon. Thank you all for your thoughts and comments, and we will see you next week. Now, don't leave. Okay. What are some of the ways that we can use this in? Thank you. There. I think you should do this more often. Come back. You can be the sound effects guy all the time.
Yeah.
You're hiring and you're gonna lose it real quick. So.
Okay.
What are some of the either topics that would be good for us to discuss in upcoming episodes? I kind of came up with this one off the top of my head, but I think it's worked well. And also, what are some of the ways that you think this would be a helpful thing? The conversation part.
Recently I listened to a podcast, and I'm trying to remember. I don't know if it was from. I don't remember what the group was that I was listening to, but. They were talking about how they've tried to make it easier for their parents to be able to, not have to drive there and back. And if you're only going to be here for an hour for a special event, what do you do? And, so that, what they had was some pretty interesting things as far as they have they set up like a little coffee shop kind of place where the parents could go in another room and have their coffee and have use of Wi-Fi if they wanted to do some work or whatever while the kids were doing it. And I'd never thought about that, but they were talking about how much time they spend driving back and forth to the church, back home, coming back to pick up the kids. So that was interesting. And I know one comment that they really made that stuck with me was that I don't, it was saying how he doesn't measure his ability to minister to his youth based on whether or not kids are able, or based on his programming. And that really stuck with me because I have a lot of kids who don't always get to come on Wednesday nights or Sunday nights, but they'll be here for the lock-in. But, and some of our regular kids kind of find that offensive, but then, it made me think that, if that's the only time that they're able to be here, then I need to make the most of it and not be mad at them because that's the only time that they can be here.
Mm-hmm. Last night I had to deal with that. Don't get mad because they can do something. We had we're about to get a torrential downpour. It's apparently coming on Friday. Is for us at least we have projected up to possibly 6.5 inches of rain in Texarkana, and so they went ahead and canceled the football game on Friday, and moved the varsity game on Friday to Thursday, and then moved the Thursday games, which were the junior high, to Wednesday. So last night. We have a junior high drill team, band, football, cheerleaders, everything. And so for one of our school districts, they were all out. Nobody in junior high really from that grade. And I had to struggle with that. It's not their fault. It's school. I can't get mad. I mean, I was, but it wasn't at the kids. It was at the other thing. So, and that's something I work, talk about and struggle with is, am I doing my program so that I look good? Or am I doing it because that's the best way to reach the students? And what are some ways? Because I also have students who do dance. I know I'm going to lose my 7th grade girls who are in dance every year for this period of time because it's the Nutcracker or whatever. And so how can I stay connected with them even when they're not coming on Wednesday night so that way when they're done, they still feel that connection to come and be part of our group and we're not losing traction. And Chad, social media is a great way of doing that because you can still maintain – even if you just like one of their photos, they covet those likes. I know it's wrong. It's how many likes can I get? But it does show that you've paid attention, you've taken interest, and you've said, hey, I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, and you kind of get that response back even with them comments and stuff like that, or hey, great to see you or whatever. So social media and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and stuff are great ways to maintain connection. And, you sent me a huge long list of things, but what are some things that you've thought about that would be?
I certainly think that that time usage piece, both for the students as well as the parents and your volunteers, that making sure that they're not hanging out waiting around on you, or you're not wasting those opportunities to be there. Ruth Ann, another one that we had. And we didn't even do anything. We just, found a room for them. There was a group of parents that met for a Bible study on Sunday nights during our fellowship time. So, and like I said, we didn't do anything. They said, oh, we're up here. It doesn't make sense for us to drive home and then come back. So that's when they met for their Bible study, their small group. So, kind of that. But I love that coffee idea as well. Or a coffee shop or another hangout place for there too. Another one, I can't remember if this is on the list or not, Russell, but how do we help students read Scripture and help all volunteers? And that kind of requires us to be in Scripture as well. But certain something that's popping up and becoming more not necessary but prevalent, that we're not just picking out scripture pieces but using the whole context, the whole piece there.
Yeah. All right, well, we have plenty of stuff to cut through and put up, and some good thoughts. Things that y'all talked about that I was like, if we got to, was kind of the prayer responses and prayer stations. I think it would be good to have somebody I know is really good. Marla Matthews is really good at putting those together, and some others are really good about doing the prayer stations. And so those would be good to maybe have somebody like her or somebody else who can come and kind of share, okay, here's 10 prayer stations that I do, and here's what I think about when I do those. Splitting up groups. How do we split up groups? When do we split up groups? We have several different mods. And what do you do when you have a whole bunch of one age group and less of the other? Lock-ins, why they're evil and why we should never do them. And volunteers, and how can we help with, how can we recruit and stuff, volunteers. And then Sunday night events too. I think Eddie, you talked about doing mission stuff. What do we do on those when we have a big group? We can do when we're not doing small groups. What are some of the ideas? Either if that's bowling or if that's mission trip, or we did canned food. We did a canned food photo scavenger hunt last week, and so we set them off with 2 lists. I was just trying to find a time to do both of them, and I was just like, well, one of my youth students said, just put them together, and we did, and they collected a lot of canned food and got some great photos within that. So some of those ideas for that too. So any other thoughts? Same bat time next week. It's been nice. I've had a different group every week.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
It's been nice to see. And the only time maybe Eddie or Chad, I think you can do this too, would be the week of youth specialties. The thing that I will not be able to start a hangout or do anything. So if y'all can figure out, either Eddie, if you can start it, or Chad, if you could start one. I'm just doing them on Google Hangouts on air, and then that way it records. And then y'all can do the topic and stuff. I may be able to join, but I'll be in the air, and so I'm probably not going to spend my internet on the plane to join the conversation. So and then y'all can send me that file, and I can edit it and do that. So sound good?
Okay.
Ruthann, thanks for joining us. Chad, thanks for joining us. Eddie, and also James. James, how are you doing? Doing good? All right. Hopefully James learned some stuff, and you can chime in too. And then,
sorry, I'm sitting at the pumpkin patch with cars driving by. That's why.
Sitting at the pumpkin patch. Oh.
James for the win.
Pumpkin patch.
Don't miss it.
You'll have one going on? No pumpkin patch? At the pumpkin patch, joining the conversation. You win the prize. If there was a prize, if we awarded prizes, you would get it for most remote location to join our conversation. So hope you have all enjoyed it. And oh wait, hold on, Eddie's got the. I'm frightened to see what's coming up. I'm gonna wait.
I was going to draw a gold star for James, but
James, James, you get the gold star. We are now adding a gold star award for every conversation. Somebody gets the gold star.
It's better than the orange pumpkin, my friend.
Yeah, we're kind of worried because all of a sudden we're about to get 6 inches of rain, so our pumpkins will be floating down the deal. So, anyway, I will see y'all later, and hope y'all join us next week.
All right.
Y'all take care.
Crystal. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
See ya.